Hello everyone, welcome to Nana's Tiny Kitchen. Today we are going to do some Sunday sauce and some meatballs too. Okay, first we're going to do the breadcrumbs for the meatballs. Now, you can buy store-bought breadcrumbs if you like, but I'm going to show you how to do this with a couple of slices of bread from your refrigerator or pantry, whatever. If you do, it's about 3/4 cup of breadcrumbs per pound of ground beef. So you take this is actually sourdough bread because I like it. It's a little bit better for you. I can't even speak today, really. Better for your digestive system, so I like to use the sourdough bread. Doesn't change the way the meatballs are going to taste. So I take 2 pieces of bread. I put them in my blender here or processor like this. I'm going to put all my ingredients in here because if you got a good seasoned breadcrumb, then you don't have to worry about the meat being nice and flavorful. Then I'm going to take, this is Romano cheese. It's about a tablespoon. I'm going to plop it right in there. I'm going to take what would be equivalent to 2 medium-sized cloves of garlic right in there. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of basil, fresh basil. If you're going to use the shaker, probably about a teaspoon or 3/4 of a teaspoon, I would say. This is a cheese and basil meatball. And I'm going to take a little bit of oregano. Let's see, I got 1/4 teaspoon. Don't worry if it spills over the teaspoon. Add that right in there. And some salt. About a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Just like that. And a little bit of black pepper. It's probably equivalent to about a good sized pinch. And I'm going to get this all blended up. Where's my cover? That would help. Like this. And you see how you have beautiful breadcrumbs. And that's it. When you buy the store-bought toasted breadcrumbs, like that's good for using if you're going to make a cutlet or something like that. But when you're doing meatballs, a lot of the times, a lot of recipes will ask you to soak the breadcrumbs in like a milk. But when you use fresh bread, you eliminate that step. You never have dry meatballs with that. I take this out. See, there you go. Give it a pinch taste. Fantastic. Now we're going to make our meatballs. In this I have a pound of ground beef and 1 large egg. And I'm going to add the breadcrumbs right to it, seasoned perfectly. There's so many different meatball recipes out there. A lot of times it's like oregano, and parsley, and Parmesan cheese. I like the flavor of the Romano cheese, and I love the flavor of fresh basil. So we're just going to get this mixed up, and I'm just going to get right down in there because I think my hands are so clean that I'm not sure if I have skin on them anymore as many times as I've washed them. Okay, we're going to mix this up and then form our meatballs. Big, small, whichever size you like. There are no rules. In the meantime, I have a pan here heating up. I'm going to give it a couple of swirls of oil so I can fry up my meatballs, but if you prefer to bake them, you can form them up, put them on a baking sheet, stick them in the oven at 350 in about a half an hour. You'll have them baked up if you don't want to fry them in the oil. Personally, I like to do it the traditional way. Okay. We don't want to over mix it, but we do want all of our ingredients beautifully incorporated. I could see the fresh basil in there. I could see the cheese in there. It was just enough salt to taste beautiful. Okay. Now we're going to make our meatballs. Okay. Now I got my pan all heated up. I'm going to give a couple of swirls of olive oil. I just had a fight with the olive oil jar. I won. Okay. Now, take a little in your hand, give it a nice roll. This is the fun part. Right in the oil. I make some small ones for my granddaughter. Make some bigger ones for Jeff. Oh, that olive oil smells so good. This I ordered online. It's Sicilian extra virgin olive oil. And when I talked to my dad, he said that the place that they make it, that they process it, is the very next town over from where he was born. So I found that kind of cool. Okay, I'm going to get all these in the pan and all fried up. And then we're going to put together our sauce, which is the fun part. All right. When I get them all fried up, I'm going to set them aside while I prepare the sauce. Okay, everyone, you could see that I got all my meatballs and I set aside. They're nice and browned, got a nice crust on them, and now we're going to start the sauce. So I have my sauce pot and my beautiful Sicilian olive oil, a couple of swirls. And I had chopped up, this is about, I'm going to show you. These onions are actually from my garden, but this size onion, about half of this, chopped up, right in the pot. We're going to saute this till they start to get a little translucent, and then we're going to add our garlic. Don't put the garlic in too soon when the pot is too hot, otherwise the garlic is going to burn and you don't want that bitter taste. When garlic is cooked properly, it gets nice and sweet and not bitter. Okay. I'm going to let this saute up and we'll be back. Okay, we're back. The onions are just about translucent, so I'm going to add my garlic now, which I chopped very finely. I would say 2 small cloves of garlic, 1 large clove of garlic. It depends on how garlicky you like things. To me, I think the 2 small cloves are more than enough. And in here I got 24 ounces of, these are my tomatoes that I grew in the garden, and it's a triple combination. It's the Oxheart tomatoes, it's Samarzanos, and plum tomatoes, which I processed when they were ready and jarred them all up, and I got 42 jars. I'm down to 30 now, so yeah. Okay, we're going to open this up. Beautiful. And this is all good. If you buy store-bought canned sauce, try to look for something that doesn't have the citric acid in the can. They do make it, especially if you have like a problem with digesting tomato sauce, if it comes up on you and you get heartburn from it. I think Cento makes one. Pomi actually makes the pure, it comes in a glass jar, which you can use. or like me, grow your own. But for mine, normally I don't have to add a paste because this is pretty thick, and if I do add paste, it comes out a little too thick. But if you wanted to, you can add a tablespoon to your 2 cans of sauce that you get in the supermarket, or a little bit more if you want it a little thicker, or just cook it longer and cover off, low simmer, and it'll thicken up on its own. So I don't need to add the paste, but this is the point where you would be adding the paste and you would smell that beautiful paste. Now I'm just going to add my sauce. And when I was a kid, on Sundays, not every Sunday, but a lot, my Aunt Josephine and Uncle Richie and she had 4 boys at the time, and my parents and my 2 brothers and myself would go to my Nonna's house. And the second you walk through the door, you can smell that smell. It was like the most incredible sauce smell. And all my life, I've been trying to figure out what her secret is. My dad made it differently. The only one who came really, really close was my Aunt Josephine. She made a really, really good sauce. But that was her mom that we were going to visit. That's why. Okay, now, for the secrets. Okay, sauce in the pot. Tablespoon of sugar. If you have some red wine laying around the house, doesn't last long in my house. Little swirl of red wine, or if you don't have red wine, use a really sweet, nice, delicious balsamic. Works perfectly. It balances the acidity, and adding the sugar to the sauce actually does help with if you have problems with acid reflux. If you don't want to add too much sugar to it, take a potato, peel it, drop it in the sauce. The potato will cook. You can actually eat the potato after the sauce is cooked and you won't get heartburn, but it removes the acid from the sauce. Okay, that, and I'm going to add a nice size bunch of fresh basil leaves. So if I look, I want to say, see, I gotta put my glasses on because I can't see anything. About a teaspoon of the shaker, if that's what you're gonna use. And now, for the secret. I always buy the whole Romano cheese. If you prefer to use Parmesan cheese, that's fine. To me, I want Nonna's house, so she always used the Romano cheese. But the rind of the cheese is what makes the sauce. That's what makes it smell like that smell. That's what makes it taste that taste. You take a small chunk of the rind of the cheese and you drop it right in the sauce. Now I'm going to add a little bit of oregano, probably about a 1/4 teaspoon, maybe not even. And most people wait until the last half hour to put the meatballs back in, but since my sauce is thickened and partially, well, it's not really partially cooked, but the tomatoes are heated when they go through the processor and before they're jarred, I don't have to cook the sauce as long. I cook the sauce for maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours tops. So I can put my meatballs right in there and they're not going to fall apart. They're going to stay because you got a nice crust on them. They're going to stay beautifully. And in that pound, there's 16 nice sized meatballs in here. I did a couple of small ones for my granddaughter, but I'm going to put them right in there. Beautiful. Oh my God. We're going to add a tiny pinch of salt. That's it. We're going to put this on low, but make sure you're tasting. Taste your sauce so you know what it is that it needs. If it's not sweet enough for you, if it's too sweet, then you know. Next time, I'm not going to add as much sugar. If you need to add a little bit of salt, if you need to add a little bit more basil, but make sure you're tasting your food because that is key. Don't wait until the end until your company shows up at the door to start tasting your food. Okay, I'm going to give this a taste. Oh, wow. Cover on. Hour and a half on low, covered. Last half hour, I take this off and I just let it simmer on low. Okay. Okay, thanks everyone for joining me today on making this delicious sauce. Please try it out. I'm telling you, you make this sauce and they will never leave. Okay, so till next time, I don't know, maybe I'll make some raviolis with this. Sounds good. Thanks a lot. Ciao.